Joe, I got to start off with the University of Michigan here and how much they've been dominating over the month of June. They have been absolutely dominant, especially along the defensive line, getting guys like Carter Meadows, getting guys like Titan Davis, getting Alistair Vallejo, who we talked about off air, getting Blade, the other defensive lineman. And, Joe, by the way, they are in contention to get Julian Walker, the edge rusher, as well. Michigan really dominating here down the stretch in the month of June.
Yeah, I'm blown away by this, Blake. This is – I remember back to where they were this time-ish last year.
Really bad.
Tyrone Moore coming into his first year, and we were kind of talking about in spurts whenever we brought it up, what is Tyrone Moore doing? And part of the things that we talked about, it was just really a complicated turnover with everything that was happening coming off the national championship. Didn't feel like a national championship winning program, how they should have been recruiting coming off of that. This is light years ahead of where they were last year. And this is how they need to build a standard for success as a program. And I think that the biggest part about this, why they were so great under Jim Harbaugh, they had such an intent on both lines of scrimmage.
Yes.
Going after 4-star, 5-star offensive and defensive linemen. Carter Meadows is huge. Was a huge name that they were able to pull with this. But I'm really a big fan of them getting Alistair Vallejo, who I broke down his tape. We did a breakdown of him on A to Z Sports Film Room because he reminded Ryan and I of Mason Graham. He is like a clone of Mason Graham, who was not a highly recruited kid, just like Alistair Vallejo. Number 10 in the On3 industry rankings at this current moment, Blake. This is the type of things that a national championship winning program needs to do. I just wonder, can they take another step forward and then possibly finish within the top 10 instead of right at number 10?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you bring in what will be, if Julian Walker does commit to them, you bring in 5 defensive linemen, Joe, they just clean up. And here's the thing. They've been developing at such a high level, which means for me one thing. You know, on NCAA, it's not NCAA, college football 25, when you find the diamonds in the rough, and you're like, oh, this guy's a 3-star, but he's a diamond. He's got better traits than any 5-star that I have on my board. They have done under Harbaugh, and maybe they will do this under Tyrone Moore too, that they have identified and scouted better than anybody in some areas, especially up front. Joe, what has happened in the last 2 years? Let's recap for just a moment what they've done on the field. What they've done is you saw them go up against Ohio State. You saw them go up against Alabama. You saw them go up against Indiana. Now, they went 2-1 in those games. But even in those games, Joe, there were times defensively where they freaking dominated. Now they're doing that again in recruiting. Recruiting both lines of scrimmage is the lifeblood that fuels the dreams of champions. Who's your national champion a year ago? Ohio State. Well, what did that look like? All right, let's go the year before. Well, really the last 2 years before that, Georgia. How did that look? LSU, Bama. How did that look? Joe, they all were dominant and had dominant dudes on the line of scrimmage. That is how you win games in college football. 5 defensive linemen. Now, maybe not all of them stay, but you go out and you get multiple interior defensive linemen. You go out and get a pair of edge rushers. And, Joe, quite honestly, that's just how you're going to win. Need to do some things in their DB room. Need to do some things. In my humble opinion, I know that they got Zion Robinson. He can't be the only dude at receiver that you go and get. But, man, it's a big deal when you're recruiting at such a high level, and what it feels to me that you're scouting at such a high level and then developing.
One thing that I think would like really be like a crown jewel for this class is if they're able to
tackle.
Well, no, I was going to go with Savion Hyder, who's the number 1 running back in this class. Another guy that we just broke down on the A to Z Film Room channel. And he is, separates himself completely from all the running backs. They're in the mix for Hyder, and I think that they're going pretty aggressively at him. I know Ohio State and Georgia also really want this Hyder kid. That dude is so strong, and he is so fluid. if they're able to get him, it would continue this lineage of just premier Michigan running backs that we've seen over the past few years. And we know running the football is so important for them. I think that Heidert is like the big name that I'm tracking for where does he land, especially if they were able to pull him away from Ohio State.
I do think that when you have a quarterback like Bryce Underwood, you need to go get a dude on either at tackle or you need to bring in a premier receiver. I don't know if you can bring in a premier receiver. Joe, where are these premier receivers going? Those guys that get paid a lot, and all of them have what? They have guys at that position that are in the NFL currently producing. Bottom line. Offensive line is a little bit different. You go inside and you go in-home visit with somebody and one of these dudes, and you go in there and say, hey, we're running the ball 45 times a game. Joe, that's the offensive lineman's dream. I think that they've built off of the momentum that they ended the season with. And listen, with all the chaos, even when we talked about on Sunday with yesterday, with the whole Harbaugh situation and getting named in a class action suit, Joe, they got a lot of momentum, though, when we just separate all the off-field bullshit with the on-field and on-field shit, right? Like I think we have to be able to separate those two things to be able to get where and see where they're going. We'll see. I really like what I'm seeing from the University of Michigan.
Yeah, all positive signs. This is a truly tremendous class. But I think that the final thought there is, they need to start building up an arsenal of receivers because even under Harbaugh in the last couple of years, didn't do a great job of getting big name guys. So much to the point where like Roman Wilson was his best receiver his last year there during the national championship run that they had. Relied a lot on tight end production, running the football. JJ McCarthy played well, but I think one of the things that held him back is not having a lot of options to turn to. So they could use a little bit more explosiveness at receiver. And I think to that point, if they add somebody, that would be the real way to take this class over the top.
Just to add on that, remember J.J. McCarthy in the first training camp with Justin Jefferson, what he said? He goes, I'm literally just chunking it downfield, and I know that he's going to come and catch it. You didn't have that. Can you grab that for Bryce Underwood and help him? Joe, I don't think listen, we've listened to a lot of quarterbacks. I've been fortunate to be around in my career 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. Literally the last time that I saw one, I was like, hey, what is the connection to Jaden Daniels, by the way? What is the connection between you and Malik like? He goes, brother, you do realize sometimes I just throwing that thing out there. Like, because I know he's going to come down with it. Yeah. And I think that, and he's being everybody around me's laughing besides me. And I'm like, hold on. Y'all are laughing because y'all think he's joking. The truth of the matter is he ain't joking.